9 News Plus weather sponsored by Carrier Colorado. The future of home comfort is here.
Hey, thanks so much for joining us here on 9 News Plus on this Monday, March the 20th, first day of spring, and spring officially begins here in Colorado in the Mountain Time Zone at 3:24 this afternoon. Of course, that means absolutely nothing for us in Colorado. It means basically winter 2.0, but we'll get into that in the next few minutes. And of course, our headlines, weather-wise, we got a lot of snow ahead for us here in the mountains. We've got perhaps as much as 3 to 4 feet on its way this week for the San Juans, and then through the rest of the mountains, a widespread 8-9 inches plus worth of snowfall, and a lot of that will come today and tonight for us into the high country. Meantime, here in Denver, we'll be lucky to get a few drops of rainfall, and otherwise, just mostly cloudy skies, maybe a better chance for some rain or snow next weekend. In the meantime, again, spring officially begins at 3:24 p.m. And I'll give you a second to think about what exactly happens at that time. That is when the sun's rays are directly over the equator, which means that, roughly speaking, we've got about 12 hours of equal sunlight across the globe. And for us here, we're actually slightly, just due to a bunch of different, I won't get into the details on it, but we actually got slightly over 12 hours of sunlight for us here in Denver and along the I-70 corridor. We'll have 12 hours and 10 minutes with the sunlight here as we start spring officially at 3:24 p.m. this afternoon. And we'll start things off on a bit of a spring-like note with temperatures that'll be well into the 50s for us here in Denver. Fair bit of cloud cover though, and that will probably keep those temperatures somewhat in check. But again, to the mountains, and that's where we're talking about some much more impactful weather. Already starting to see some of those snow showers moving their way through the I-70 corridor. This is Loveland ski area where, again, we've had consistent snowfall throughout the last few days and really all season long, and that will continue this week. Repeated rounds of storms for us into the high country, and again, that continues for us right now at Loveland ski area. Just a few flakes right now. As you can tell, I-70 moving smoothly in both directions. I do think that we will see some greater impacts tonight, especially after about 8, 9 o'clock or so this evening, and those impacts get worse and worse the further south and west you go. So that includes our friends in particular in the San Juans. But for us here in Denver, it's mostly cloudy but mild. Chance for an afternoon rain shower or two, maybe even a few grapple pellets mixing in tonight. Not a big deal. Nothing to plan around in particular. It's just, again, may have a few raindrops out there. Widespread mountain snowfall, and then it's an overall unsettled week ahead for us, especially into the mountains, but maybe a little bit for us here in Denver as well. Temperatures right now, a lot of 40s for us on the eastern plains, 48 for us here in Denver, so well on our way to get to 50 plus. Our average high for today, 58 degrees, and that's in fact exactly our forecast high for this afternoon for us here in Denver. Mostly cloudy skies, spot afternoon rain shower. Again, whatever we do get, we're talking about a few raindrops, and that's pretty much it. Tonight, maybe a flake, maybe a grapple pellet or two. Again, anything we get will be brief, light, and short-lived, so just don't plan around it. It's just, if you see a few raindrops in the windshield, don't be too stunned this afternoon. Now again, bigger story for us into the high country. In teal, winter weather advisories. In red, winter storm warnings, and especially as we get into the San Juans. Now, this is collectively over the next few days. We're going to get, as I mentioned, several rounds of storms. We've got the jet stream parked overhead. That means we're going to keep getting little pieces of the atmospheric river that California, you probably heard all about what they're getting in California. We're getting just kind of little pieces of that California rain and snowfall, and that means, again, it's just going to be a very snowy week for us into the high country, very unsettled, and we're seeing some of that right now. Now in the San Juans, bit of a break for the moment. Now we do have some light snowfall, but if you do need to travel through the San Juans, the Red Mountain Pass, Wolf Creek Pass, today looks okay for that. Excuse me. Again, looks okay for that for the most part for today. Monarch Pass, again, if you need to drive those, today should be mostly okay for that. It is after dark tonight when things start to get a bit more unsettled. Now where we're seeing the heaviest snow right now from the Grand Valley on east into Glenwood Springs, Glenwood Canyon, even out by Vail Pass. This is where we're seeing light snowfall overall. And then further north, we're also looking at some of that light snowfall up by Rocky Mountain National Park. And one other thing I want to note here as well, with this snow, keep in mind we had, unfortunately, a couple more avalanche fatalities over the weekend. We've had 9 fatalities due to avalanches so far this winter season here in Colorado. That's already above average. And unfortunately, when we keep getting these kind of consistent rounds of mountain snowfall, that's going to make those conditions even worse. So, folks, avoid the backcountry. Avoid the backcountry this week. Again, I know we had those avalanche fatalities just now over the weekend. And unfortunately, those avalanche conditions are going to really get much worse. We're going to have natural avalanches being triggered, especially Tuesday on. And I'm especially concerned about the Maroon Bells on south, the Sawatch, the West Elks, the San Juans, San Cristos. I do think we're going to be looking at some fairly widespread avalanche danger for us here into the high country. Now, for the snowfall itself for today and tonight, again, the worst of it will be overnight, and then by tomorrow morning, we'll kind of get a bit of a break again, and then that snow machine kicks back up tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow night for us into the higher terrain. Again, we're talking about almost nonstop snow for us. Any breaks we get will be about 12 to 18 hours, but this snowfall is going to continue probably through the upcoming weekend. So this is a long-lived snow event for us here into the high country. And again, that's great news in terms of snowpack. Ski conditions will be awesome. Those sorts of usual good news bits. But the takeaway, 2 takeaways, obviously, when it comes to impacts to you. Just keep in mind the avalanche danger, and of course, travel conditions will be pretty difficult at times through the next few days into the high country. Now, for us here in Denver, we get those downsloping winds. That means anything that tries to reach us mostly kind of fizzles on out in the process. But again, come 4, 5, 6 o'clock, we might get a few raindrops. Along the I-25 corridor. 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, same idea as well. A few raindrops out there into the higher terrain, a few snowflakes. That's pretty much all she wrote, and maybe another chance of that as we get closer to about dawn tomorrow with a few flakes, maybe a few grow-apple pellets. Again, just letting you know that if you do see a few raindrops or a few flakes overnight, that is to be expected. Now, again, this is a look at those collective snowfall totals between now and 11 on Thursday morning. Boy, I mean, the San Juans they're going to get it. This is going to be quite the storm up there, quite the series of storms up there. With somebody, I bet Wolf Creek, something like that comes in with 4 or 5 feet worth of weekly snowfall into the high country, a widespread foot plus for us into the ski resorts, basically everywhere here across the state. So good news on that end. Again, just the avalanche danger. I mentioned that before. Just keep that in mind here, folks. I got a lot of friends that do love to go backcountry. I'm telling them what I'm telling you. Avoid the backcountry. Tonight, temperatures drop down into the low 30s for us, mostly cloudy with an early rain or snow shower, maybe even a chance for another flake as we get closer to dawn as well. Again, nothing to plan around, just keep in mind you might see that tomorrow. Probably a slightly lower chance for a rain shower and a bit more sunshine, especially in the morning tomorrow, but we'll see a bit more cloud cover once again as we get into about noon, 1 o'clock or so, and that will continue throughout the majority of our Tuesday. And temperatures right around our seasonal averages, a lot of 50s, 60s, eastern plains, mountains 30s and 40s on the widespread side of things. 7-day forecast. It is an unsettled forecast. Now, Wednesday, Thursday, we do have rain, snow showers around. Probably the best chance will be on Wednesday out of that 2-day stretch. Not as big of a deal. The upcoming weekend, Saturday, Sunday, that to me, some of the computer models are hinting at maybe something a bit more substantial. It's too far out. The models really are all over the place on that system this upcoming weekend. Just keep in mind we will have the potential for maybe some accumulating snow Saturday and Sunday. So again, here in Denver, of course, the mountains are going to be snowing nonstop through Sunday, basically, as I mentioned. But then as we get into Saturday and Sunday, for us here along the Front Range, that looks to me like the best chance for seeing some meaningful snow accumulation. Wednesday night, Thursday morning, maybe we flip over and get a little slush for Thursday morning. I'm not too convinced of that, but we'll keep you posted as we get a bit closer to that. Again, Saturday, Sunday would appear to be the more better chance of seeing some snowfall, but even that at this point here, folks, most of the models are showing maybe a little bit of snow, not a big deal, but again, we'll get more on that as we get a bit closer. All right. Now, this is, of course, really important when it comes to who's seen the most snowfall so far this winter season. Wolf Creek, our new leader as of this past weekend, now up to 420 inches worth of snowfall so far this season. Wolf Creek Steamboat, you might have known this, has been leading the statewide race for the most snowfall so far this season throughout most of the winter season. But as of now, it is Wolf Creek that has taken the narrow lead. Snowpack statewide, about 129% of its season-to-date average, and the San Juan's 6th best season so far on record. And we're going to be adding a lot to this. And also note that the Arkansas River Basin's catching up quite a bit. Them kind of sagging in the 70s throughout most of the season, now back into the mid 80s. That is good news. And overall, again, this is good news. Again, two big takeaways. Just keep in mind, it is going to be snowing basically nonstop in the mountains for the next 5-6 days or so. We'll get some breaks in there, but they won't last more than 18 hours. So we won't even get a full day break into the mountains, and that could lead to several feet of snow in parts of the San Juans and the southwestern mountains as we head through the next few days. For us here in Denver, a lot of cloud cover throughout the week. Temperatures mostly in the 50s. Best chance for rain and snow would appear to be on Wednesday night, Thursday morning, and then perhaps a better chance of that this upcoming weekend. But for the most part, a few raindrops in the windshield, maybe a few flakes, a lot of cloud cover, temperatures in the 50s. It's an unsettled week, but not a whole lot of sunshine, but also not a whole lot of rain or snow. So a little bit of everything, I suppose, for us across the state. Again, spring officially begins at 3:24 p.m. Mountain Time this afternoon, which, as I mentioned earlier, that means absolutely nothing for us here in Colorado. Hopefully this has been helpful to you. If not, meteorologist Greg Perez will have an update for you coming up at 9 News at noon, also at 2 p.m. right here on 9 News Plus. Chief Meteorologist Kathy Sabins in at 4 and 5, and also we'll have meteorologist Lauren Robinson in at 6, 9, and 10 tonight on the 9 News family of networks. Once again, meteorologist Chris Bianchi, thanks for joining us here on 9 News Plus. Have a great rest of your Monday.